Hello, good to see you, beautiful souls. I am a post-traumatic growth specialist. I love helping people work through their pain to transmute it and turn it into their power. And I got inspired to start a book club. So today we are talking through Wayne Dyer's The Power of Intention. We've been gathering every single Monday at noon Eastern time. It was like 4 o'clock last week when I was in Iceland, but I got back this morning. It's been like a lot of travel. I think I've slept like 2 hours in the last 30, but I'm just trying to I got home to my house at 5:30 a.m. Talk about putting this to practice. I'm just going to share this story while I wait for everybody to get on. I landed, well, our flight was, I flew into JFK from Iceland. Flight was delayed from JFK down to Orlando. And so I just was like, all right, whatever, I'll sit and just wait. So as it's getting more and more delayed, I'm doing the math. I live an hour and a half from the airport, so it's a long drive in the middle of the night. And it's getting later and later and later. Anyway, I end up landing, it's like 2:30 in the morning Eastern time. And for Iceland, that was what? Like 6:30? Yeah. And the bags started to come out, and all the bags came except me and this other guy and this mom and daughter. The mom and daughter find out their bags were put on another flight. Me and the guy are standing around like, what's going on? So I go and talk to them, and turns out there's a bag that has blocked the ability for where they, I guess underneath before it comes out on the carousel, you put the bags on and they come up and then they drop in. Well, the bag coming up blocked it. Literally the gate shut on it, something, they couldn't get it unstuck. And so I said to them, well, can you just ask what that bag looks like? And if they can see the little sticker on it, it was my bag. So my bag somehow jammed this thing coming out, and the next flight that was supposed to use that carousel couldn't. Their luggage got delayed like an hour. It took an hour and a half for them to unjam my bag, which is wild. Yeah. So the whole time I'm sitting there going, oh, this is a beautiful time to just be with what is, because I'm just watching. It's getting later and later and later, right? It's at this point I've been up for 24 hours straight. And I'm like, okay, well, by the time I got my bag, got to my car, it was 8 a.m. Icelandic time for my body. And so I got home and it was like 10:30 a.m. and I was like, I'm just going to stay up. So here we are. Hey, Juliet, good to see you. Thank you for welcoming me home, Peg. Good to see you on here. Carol, be with what is, exactly. Yeah, I learned yoga therapy. Guys, what I learned this last week, I don't have words for it yet. Basically experienced this. I don't have words, so we'll stick to the book for now, and the words will come later. Good morning. So I would love to hear any reflections, experiences. I know we learned about the 7 phases of intention last week. And so I am curious, how have you guys been able to, play with that? Have you had any experiences with it? For me, after last week, I'll just put this in here while you guys are typing, the kindness. He talks about being kind to all animals. Well, the place where I was staying, beautiful, out in the country, a little cabin, it had flies. And these flies, there was nothing open. I don't know how these flies were getting into the house. And my friends who I was, it was their place. They're like, yeah, Danielle, those flies just spontaneously are in the house. And anyway, they just, they hit the wall and then they die. So when I said be kind to all animals, I was like, I gotta save these flies. So I was every day, trying to, get these flies and get them out. And it was a ridiculous situation. But I was laughing and I was like, there you go. That was all this. getting more in alignment with the power of intention there. So, all right, let's just dive in. I absolutely loved the quote that he kicked this chapter off with. So I'm on page 35, chapter 3, connecting to intention. He says, the law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things, but by contemplating the floating of things, which floated naturally, and then intelligently asking, well, why are they doing so? And I love, hey, Alyssa, yes, I made it home. It was a whirlwind. Holy cow. So this quote, I don't know who that guy is. I've never heard of Thomas Troward. I probably should. That last name sounds familiar, but I don't know him too well. We started the book reading chapter 15 about these connectors. And so really the question is, like, how are these connectors connecting? How are these powerful manifestors manifesting? How are these people that are in alignment and happy all the time in alignment and happy all the time? You have problems with bugs too. I know. I have a really bad problem with cockroaches. Like, it's going to be interesting for me to show kindness to cockroaches because I scream when I see them. I don't know why. And I do know why. I moved to Florida and one flew at me. In Florida, like, these things have wings and it was horrifying. So anyway, I wanted to just share with you because I think this is such a powerful point. He says, look, the Wright brothers didn't contemplate the stain on the ground of things. Alexander Graham Bell didn't contemplate the non-communication of things. Thomas Edison didn't contemplate the darkness of things. In order to float an idea into your reality, you must be willing to do a somersault into the inconceivable and land on your feet, contemplating what you want instead of what you don't have. Toward is one of the pioneers of our faith path. Okay, I thought so, Peg. That's where I've heard his name. Okay. I was like, this name, it's ringing a bell, but it's not ringing a bell. Thank you. Well, he knows what's what. That is for sure. Did that sink in for you guys? Because I thought, how often are we complaining about why something isn't working or why I don't have this or don't have that? And like our energy is staying in that space versus saying, well, how would it be possible? And then letting the mind, like where you put your attention, energy flows, and then letting the mind kind of flow in that direction of like, well, how would I be able to fly? If you could fly, how would you be able to fly? What would you need? Think about how the Wright brothers did that. It's a powerful thing. And I think you gotta catch yourself. And I think it's interesting, he shares how intention is just waiting for us to catch it and to grab it. Like it's just sitting out there. And did you all appreciate it? I didn't catch this until the second time through the chapter. I'm having to read these chapters twice. I don't know about you, but it's a lot. It's a lot to sink in. So the second time through, I picked up what he was talking about with the paint and the canvas. And you loved all of this, Charlotte. Nice. He said basically think about, he used this analogy of art. And he's basically saying if art can't exist, if you just had paint and paintbrushes and a canvas, art doesn't happen, right? Those things would just be sitting there. And he's saying that's like intention. Like this power of intention is just sitting there like a paintbrush that hasn't been picked up yet. And we are the ones that pick up the paintbrush. We are the ones that say we want to interact with this power of intention. We are the ones that go in and through our thoughts, through our feelings, through our creativity, we are able to then use the power of intention to bring that into being. Just like the artist can paint whatever they want to paint on the canvas. No one's stopping them, right? The paint doesn't say that's good or that's bad or this looks nice or that's ugly or you should do it this way. Like the paint just paints. And intention it follows your lead. Juliet says, I'm treating it like a game. When the lower vibes try to set in, I am stopping myself in my steps, literally, and dropping into my imagination. It's perfect. This example of the artist, I don't know, something clicked for me in that and going, oh yeah, the paint's just going to be there. The canvas is there, but nothing will happen until we're inserted, until our thoughts are inserted, until what we desire. And then we pick up these tools, the tool of intention that's just waiting there for us. So we're developing our intention nets. Yes, Peg. I love it. Absolutely love it. So, it was interesting. This play between ego and intention, the training that I just went to, we talked a lot. It's yogic philosophy, which I love. And I don't know how I'm going to start incorporating all this, but I will. But it was talking about how the yogis describe our wisdom body. It has an intellect and it has an intuition. And it's the same kind of thing that Wayne's describing. You've got the ego and then you have, intention. And the question is, which one are you tapping into? Which one's driving you? And I don't know, on page 38, this I like underlined this. I read it like 10 times. He said, having a strong will and being filled with resolve to accomplish inner goals is asking the ego to be the guiding force in your life. I will do this thing. I will never be stupid. I will never give up. They're admirable traits, but they won't reconnect you to intention. And I'm going to stop there because I look at a lot of successful people and they've gotten there through sheer drive with their ego. You know, hey Leah, glad you could jump on. And it's like really fascinating to look at them because how many times, maybe this has happened to you, you were going after a goal, you got it, and then you're not satisfied. Like, can you just give me a thumbs up, a heart, does anyone resonate with that? Because this happens to me all the time. I'm like, oh, I really, really want this thing. Boom, I get it. And it's like, all right, now I want that thing. All the time. Leah said, okay, I'm not the only one. So, yeah, all the time. It's really, okay, I see hearts flying now. Yeah, all right. Yes, many times, Charlotte says, yeah. So reading this, it made sense. He says, your willpower is so much less effective than your imagination, which is you're linked to the power of intention. Imagination is the movement of the universal mind within you. Your imagination creates the inner picture that allows you to participate in the act of creation, right? Like the artist picking up the brush. It's the invisible connecting link to manifesting your destiny. And then he goes on to talk about how only with that imagination will you ever accomplish big things. He talks about the fire walk, right? If you were just to use your ego and your willpower to walk over the coals, you're gonna get burned. You have to bring intention into it. You have to bring imagination. You have to realize there's a force around me that's gonna protect me. And then with that knowing, walk over the coals. Now, I've never done a fire walk. Have any of you? Leah? Yes. So, Leah just asked a question. She said, could intention be strongly attached to the big why? It's exactly what I wrote down. So a lot of you, I work with in ASEA, and forcing a round peg into a square hole, Larry, yeah. And what do we always say? In ASEA, in network marketing, in any entrepreneurial venture, right, wherever you are with that, we always say you need to know your why. Why are you doing this? What's the bigger picture? What picture has your imagination created for yourself that you're willing to take the will and use the ego to keep you moving, but that's going to connect you with something bigger? And this is why in ASEA, we create the why, because the why pulls you forward. The ego will push you, right? It is going to push, push, push. And your why, intention, pulls you. The imagination pulls you. And so 100%, Leah, I think this is connected to your big why. What's the bigger picture in life? What's the imagination saying that you're going after so that you have this drive to do it? He always says, think of the end first. Yeah, that's exactly right. You always got to think of the end. I've got this sitting right here because this is the end. This is $1 million earner Danielle. She's right here. And on the back of it was Diamond Danielle. That happened. So you got to have these things around you and be in that space. The why pulls you forward. Yeah, Carol, exactly. We need to trust and create and not focus on a perfect picture. Yeah, you got to trust the process and have fun as it unfolds, because it's going to look totally different, than what you really think. I'm seeing lots of no's, no firewalks. No one's done a firewalk. Yeah, well, maybe we all go to a Tony Robbins thing and we do a firewalk. I think that would be wild. I don't know if he still does that. I don't know. I don't know much about him, except that everyone thoroughly enjoys the seminars. So interesting thing that I wanted to point out was this reframe. Wayne Dyer did, I don't know, hundreds, probably thousands of talks, and he's written, dozens of books, a lot of them bestsellers. And he said the number one question he gets in human development is, how do I go about getting what I want? Nice. And Peg says, vision boards. They're visualizing our imagination and stimulating our creativity. Yep. He still does firewalks, Peg says. Nice. Okay. And someone else just said, yeah, I was just thinking a week ago I need to attend one. Well, there you go. There's your sign. So when he says, how do I go about getting what I want? I think back at the beginning of the chapter, it talked about how the Wright brothers didn't spend their time contemplating how to stand on the ground. They were contemplating how to fly. You don't contemplate, sinking if you want to learn how to float. So you don't contemplate, how do I get what I want? Or you're always going to be wanting. Like, do you see the nuance here? Like, this is like, whoa, it hit me right here. He said, you need to reframe it to, how do I go about getting what I intend to create? Like, do you see that slight difference? Because that's everything. Wanting, you're going to continuously be in a state of wanting. I think, Carol, you and I were talking about this the other day. I was giving her some kind of private coaching. And I said, stop with the word want, or you're always going to be wanting. Any of you stuck there? I see lots of hearts coming. Yeah. If you're in that space, you're going to be stuck there. You want to think about, how am I going to, as he says, how do I go about getting what I intend to create? And Leah says it's insanity. Yeah, we're all in the same loop. Yeah, the minute you think sink, boom, you're gone. Yeah. The seed has been sown. Yeah, it is insanity. Yeah. Having fun is the new normal. Yeah, peg says down you go if you think about it. So, he says, well, how do you go about getting what you intend to create? You be the 7 faces of intention. Like, the path is right here. He tells you. So how do you do this? You get into the flow state. How? By being kind, by being creative, by being loving, by seeing beauty, by being expansive, by being abundant, right? By being able to receive everything as it is. Like I was talking about, for those of you that jumped on late, I had a wild time at the airport last night. My bag jammed everything. So they couldn't get my bag out for an hour and a half. And I was just like, well, this is just what it is. I'll just be awake for 24 hours. Whenever the bag comes, it'll come. I literally sat down and I started doing some like yoga poses and was like stretching in the airport. Like, what else are you going to do? Like being angry, I was watching all these other passengers because, everybody's bag was delayed because mine had jammed it. And they're just angry. I was watching complaints. How dare they? The injustice here. It's 3:00 in the morning. We're supposed to be on vacation. They don't even care. There's no rep here. Unbelievable. I'm never flying these guys again. Blah, 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 blah. And they spent the entire hour getting themselves so worked up. Like they were just so angry. I was just sitting there like stretching. Like my body after that hour felt really good. And then the drive home became a lot easier. So anyway, it's just fascinating to be able to like put this stuff into motion. And there was a quote that I really liked. Have you guys ever, this guy, John Randolph Price, he quotes him in the book, A Spiritual Philosophy for the New World. He says, until you transcend the ego, you can do nothing but add to the insanity of the world. That statement should delight you rather than create despair, for it removes the burden from your shoulders. Get rid of the ego, get rid of thinking you got to control everything, get rid of all the chatter, and just be and create with the ultimate creative force. That's what you got to do. And it was like a review, right? The rest of this chapter was just a review of these 7 faces. And, I found myself the first time kind of skimming like, oh, he already said this. And then the second time I went back, I did a deeper dive. I hope you guys did too. And I really sat with what he was saying. Like, okay, Danielle, how can you integrate this into what you do? Like, how can you be more creative? And he talks about meditation and how meditation is the most surefire, powerful way to get you connected to intention, to source, to the divinity, to what he's talking about here, right? And how many of you have a meditation practice? Oh, crickets. Uh-oh. Crickets on Facebook and on Instagram. All right. A meditation practice is huge. I am curious. Okay, Leah says she does. Charlotte says yes. Juliet says yes. Okay, you guys just had to get to the got it. So meditation is huge. I practice yoga nidra. It's guided meditation. If you need one, I see someone saying I need one. I have a free guided meditation. If you go to my Instagram profile and click the link, it says, it's the third link. I don't remember what it says, but it's the third link. It takes you to my website. You can listen to one. Yoga Nidra, just you lay down and it guides you into the depths of the ocean. You connect in with intention and you come back out. And what I love about Yoga Nidra is you actually insert intentions. So these intentions that Wayne put, like, my intention is for all of my activities to be directed by spirit. What a beautiful intention. In every aspect of his life, knowing my actions are guided by spirit. Like, how confident would you be as you show up in life? And knowing that infinite intelligence is right by your side to move through you, like, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So if I wanted to toss it out there because I thought, I don't know, I felt called to do it. I wrote it down. If you guys would like to experience a Yoga Nidra, we could pick a time to do one. I don't know that it would make sense to do it at this time next week, or if we do chapter 4, but it's a very powerful practice. And so if there's interest in doing a group Yoga Nidra, we can maybe discuss that. Maybe we discuss it on our Telegram chat. I'll put that out there. I think I could do a poll. So I'll put a poll out there to see if there is interest. Because if you haven't dabbled with meditation, Juliet says yes. If you haven't dabbled with meditation, it can feel a little overwhelming. I hated meditation for a long time because my mind was always so chatty, and I was uncomfortable. Yoga Nidra, you lay down. And so it's like you're supposed to be supremely comfortable. All right, now that tangent's gone, I'll move that discussion to Telegram. The next one was about kindness. Now, I shared a little bit, he talks about kindness towards yourself and then kindness towards others. And then he talked about kindness towards, all living things. That story of the gentleman who has the son that was, a little disabled. Oh, nice. Peg is sharing that Insight Timer Wayne Dyer has some of his meditations on that app. There you go. Anyway, so in this story, were you all crying? I was like, tears were streaming as I was reading about the story with the son and asking to play baseball and what the boys did to just allow that to be amazing experience, right? It transcended winning or losing. Like, the kids understood what was going on and that this was like a powerful moment for this little boy. Yeah, Juliet, me too. I was like, all the book's like wet because I was just like, just tears of, when something just hits you of like, that's it. Like, that's divinity, like those boys were just connected with spirit, with intention. Like that's what they did. And we all have access to that when we do kind things, and you feel it, right? Like, the best part of giving is it's like, yeah, the person gets something, but you get something too, right? We do it because it feels good, and it's that act of kindness. So I'm curious, has anybody been playing around with this? I'd love to hear. And if not, think about how you could. He shared that simple example of his daughter, like letting someone ahead of her in line at the store. Yesterday, when it was like, 3:30 a.m. and I'm at the airport, still waiting for my bag, there was this kid. He had like 3 huge bags and a box, and like he was trying to like balance it all, and everyone's watching him and no one did anything. So I just went over and I said, "Can I help you?" And you should have seen like the look of relief on his face. And he said, "Yeah, I need to go get a cart, but I need someone to watch my stuff." And I said, "It's no problem." Just stood and watched his stuff, and I could he was so like taken aback that someone was kind. It kind of like upset me that I'm like, why are you surprised? And when he got back, he's like, "I'm sorry that took so long." I'm like, it took you 2 minutes. Like, I'm waiting for a bag. It's no big deal. Peg says, "I love buying coffee at Starbucks for the person behind me." Nice. I've never got to do that. I love the concept of it, but I guess because I don't drink coffee, I need to go get tea or something and do that. But I think it's a beautiful thing. Leah says, "We do receiving and giving. I feel better when giving of time and a shoulder to those around me." Yeah. Shar says, "There's opportunities everywhere." Yeah, like in every moment. Just smile and be and bring life to the moment. All right. The next piece, or any of these, like, what's kicking up for you with love, with beauty? I would love to hear if anything inspired you to move in a certain way, or if you acted on this and then, connected with it, right? Being in a state of love is absolutely necessary for you to reconnect to intention. And what hit me with the love piece was he says, pour your love into your immediate environment. So who's ever in front of you, right? This book I have here, I don't know if you can see it on Instagram. Over on Facebook, you can. The 3 questions, that's what it's about. It's about being present, giving to the person in front of you, doing what's best for them. And that's the space to be in. And I just loved how he said, look, hold this practice on an hourly basis. Hourly basis. Being in that space. Not one time a day. Oh, I did something nice. Oh, my heart's open. But if you can have your heart open like that, I'm reading so many books. I read this book while I was gone, Wayne Dyer's 10 Secrets for Success and Inner Peace. I'm in the middle of the Surrender Experiment. Like, I'm just taking it all in. And they're all saying the same thing, which is amazing. But, you know, in the Surrender Experiment, they talk about opening your heart. And when your heart's open, everything happens. In my yoga therapy training last week, it was all about how do you get the heart chakra? How do you get that open? Because that's what it's all about. So we're all saying the same thing. Juliet says, I opened the door for a few people this week. One of a group of young girls. They were so surprised that I could feel their gratitude. It was so simple. Yeah, like it's like you watch the light turn on in them. Like, to me, you see spirit, or what he calls intention, the divine. Like, I was in Iceland, headed to the airport. I needed gas. Iceland is very weird. You need like a PIN number on your credit card to get gas at the pump. We don't have PIN numbers on our credit cards. At least I don't. It's not a thing. So, you know, I had to go inside and there's a long line and, you know, how many of us have been, you know, cashiers at the gas station, like they don't even look at your face, right? They're just, well, they're in the grind. And I come up to him and, you know, he seems to be in that state. And I say, you know, I don't have my PIN number for my credit card. And he said, oh, did you leave it at home? Like in such a, it took me a second to go, oh my God, this guy's like joking with me, you know? and because right, PIN numbers, they're not a physical things. And I just started laughing and he says, I turned on the pump, you can go fill it up. So I'm filling it up and I'm just like smiling because I saw the light in his eyes. And then I came back in and I could tell, like, you know, he kind of gone back in the flow with customers, whatever. And I said to him, how'd you know I wasn't going to drive away? And like I saw his whole being just like relax and he started laughing and you know we're just going back and forth bantering and anyway he ends up offering me a cup of coffee for free and like I don't drink coffee but it was just like this beautiful moment like because my heart was open and so was his and there was just this cool interaction. So I love stuff's coming in the chat now. Leah says, I'm enjoying the peace I am encountering around me with purposeful intentions. Nice. Receptivity was big for Char. Yeah, Charlotte, good job. Kindness was the face I need to practice more. Interesting. The baseball story he wrote just gave me happy tears. Yeah, me too. I feel inspired by that. Why don't we pick something, one of the 7 that you want to intentionally practice this week? You know, is it the law of growth? How to be ever expansive and continue to expand? Is it abundance? You know, being able to kind of see like how Wayne talked about when he was a child that like it snowed and he just saw money, right? Because he could go shovel people's driveways and he was figuring out always ways to make money. Like the abundance was just there. Hey there, if you're just joining, glad you're here. I want you to think, which one of these 7 do you want to get intentional with? Put it in the chat. Just pick one. Carol's saying she had a beautiful experience with a friend doing a foot zoning and a yoga and yoga nidra. Nice. All right, Leah's gonna work on abundance. Carol's gonna work on abundance. Beautiful. And think about how you're going to work on that. Like yesterday at the airport, I sat down at a table and immediately, like I was like led to this table, sat down immediately on the floor at my foot was what looked like a penny, and I picked it up, and it was actually like €5 thing, you know, and their coin. And I just said, thank you, and let it multiply. Expansiveness, Juliet says, nice. The law of growth. My intention for this week is to create and be productively in action. Growing, growing, growing. Juliet is going to be expanding as well, Peg. So I love that. This stuff is real. You know, the abundance thing, I'm just going to share another story. So many Iceland stories. But my friend who married the Icelandic gentleman, his name is Skuli. And he was telling me most people live in Reykjavik. but he's from like a village way up north. That they've had a lot of hard times, like hard winters. It's a harsh environment. Like you blink and the weather changes. And he said, it was really a bad time many decades back, and a lot of the young men were being put out to go fishing to try and get food, and a lot of their lives were being taken because the water was so treacherous. Anyway, a gentleman finds out that there's a whale that's been, washed up on the shore hours north, and he gets his 2 horses and he rides up there and he cuts off what he can out of the whale. And on his way home, he passed a farm with a widow who had lost her husband and several kids that just had no food. So he literally cut like 7 pieces of this whale for this woman and, gave what he had gotten, for himself, gave to her. And she said to him, "May you be blessed 7 times over." And when he got back home, literally 7 whales beached themselves on the beach right at his home and fed that community and all the communities around there, and they got through that winter. So that's abundance, right? How easily could you have been in a lack mentality in that space? Having then gone out on your own to go get food and then coming back, it's like, well, there's not enough to share. But there is enough. And in sharing and being in alignment with intention and the law of abundance, that then went forth and multiplied. So what Schoolie shared that with me, and I was like, that's what I'm reading about. So it's beautiful to have examples. Let's see, Christy says abundance too. I need to focus on doing what you were talking about, focusing each hour of the day so that it has a chance to becoming very natural for me. Maybe put it on your screensaver on your phone. We all tap our phones constantly, definitely hourly. What time is it? Did somebody text me? What's going on? Have it there. Maybe set your screen to say something around abundance. For me, it's going to be love. It's a space of like heart opening. I think it'll be really good. Larry says creativity. Need to trust myself and my purpose. Beautiful. Stephanie is going to work on thinking, visioning, and creating abundance in all areas of life. Sharing abundance with others. Thank you, Stephanie. Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, time flies. Absolutely flies. All right. Enough for everyone, no lack. Yeah, like that story will forever and always live with me when I think about abundance, because that's something that it trips me up sometimes. All right, I'm looking at the book. Holy cow, this next chapter, page 61 to page 88, chapter 4. That's what we're gonna dive into. So we will be back, same time, same place. If you missed it, we are going to put a poll up in Telegram about meditation, and if we want to connect to do meditation together, I can guide everybody through Yoga Nidra. Juliet saying, I love the bottom of page 53. The ancestor to every action is thought. Yes! What a powerful quote. Like, you got to sit with that one. The ancestor to every action. So before any action, there's always thought. Everything is created twice. Once in the mind, and then once out here. But you've got to have it in here first. And this is imagination, this is creativity, this is like, you look at the world and you're like, wow, that was someone's idea before it was a thing. I've got a standing desk. How? Because I had the idea that I wanted to stand, and now I have the thing. Like, it's just amazing. So thank you. Any ideas or things to share? If there's other ways you would like to run our time together, please, that's what the Telegram chat is for. If you need the Telegram chat, just ping me. I didn't think to have it ready to copy and paste and put here, so I don't have it immediately available. But if you need it, just reach out. All right, sending lots of love, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Apply abundance, apply creativity, Larry, apply all these things we're learning, and let's start getting closer and closer in alignment with intention. Bye, guys.